What's up? It's Toku. I wanted to make a little video of the 4 agreements I use on every single intro coaching call. And I wanted to make a video because I was going to write about it, and I thought it'd be easier for me to just put it in a video so you can get the language and hear how I say it. So there's a process I follow when I do an intro coaching call. I'm not going to go into that whole process. Basically, I connect with them. I explain what's going to happen in the call. I talk about the 3 options for the end of the call. We talk about working together. We say that we're complete, or we set up another call. And then I go over agreements, we do coaching, and then I'll ask you what's next at the end. So that's sort of the rough framework I use for my calls. So this is the part of the call where I go over agreements. So here are the 4 agreements that I use. So number 1, anything is possible in the space of the next hour. So in your life, you have things that you think are or aren't possible. You have people around you that tell you what you can and can't do. For the next hour, we're going to suspend all of those limitations. It doesn't mean that reality changes. It just means like we're going to say, you know, if I want to have my cake and eat it too, I'm going to propose or imagine a world in which that's possible and see what gets created from that place. So are you down to play with anything's possible for the next hour? And they would usually say yes. And I'd say, and you know, you can put back any limitations you want after the hour's done, which sometimes gets a laugh, not always. That's the first agreement. The second agreement is radical honesty. So there's 3 ways we practice radical honesty. So first is we're radically honest with ourselves. If we think that that guy's a jerk, if we feel like we should work out more, but we think we're too lazy, whatever the thought is, we want to be honest with ourselves that that's what we think and feel. Nothing wrong with that. It can be hard to be honest about our opinions and beliefs when they're not the most positive or not the most, don't put the best light on us, but our job is just to be radically honest with ourselves. Second is to be radically honest with me as your coach. So as much as possible to share what's going on, what you're thinking, what your reactions are, because by working with your actual authentic reactions, we can really start to figure out what's going on with you underneath the surface. And the third is that I'll be radically honest with you. If I have a question, if I have a doubt that you really want to do something, I'll challenge you, but then you get to try it on for a minute and decide if it's for you or not. So that's my radical honesty with you as a coach, and you can decide if you want to take on what I offer, or if I ask a question, if it's the kind of question you want to answer. So are you down to play with radical honesty? Again, they would typically say yes, or they have a question about that. Sometimes I might mention, hey, everything we talk about is in confidence in this call as well. So I want you to know you can be comfortable. So I might drop that in at this point, or I might put it at another point in the call. Number 3 is that in this call, we practice 100% to 0% responsibility. So in most of our relationships, we say we're like 50-50. You know, if you show up and bring the chips, I'll bring the soda. And so there's nothing wrong with that way of being in a relationship. It just means that sometimes our ability to be powerful or to be responsible is limited by how other people show up. So in this conversation, we're going to hold ourselves 100% 0. What that means is you're 100% responsible for getting what you want from the session, for bringing interesting questions, for bringing good requests, for really being a great client and trying to create or get what you want out of the session. And you're holding that I'm 0% responsible. Even if I'm a horrible coach, I ask stupid questions, you're going to be generous with the way you listen to me so that we can try to get to where you want to get to. And the reverse is also true of me. I'm going to show up 100% in possibility for you, believing you can do anything you want, that a transformation or shift is the next question, the next thought away. And it doesn't matter how you show up. You can resist my questions. You can avoid what I ask. You can, you know, be kind of like evasive or defensive. And I'm just going to keep showing up 100% as your coach. So are you down to play with 100% 0 in this conversation? And again, they would typically say yes. The last thing is that my final agreement is that I do coaching around being. And when we do that, we often get into things like your identity, your childhood, what makes you tick, why you choose what you choose, and that can feel inherently vulnerable. So even though I coach on being, you're always in control of the depth of the coaching. At any point, you can say, hey, I want to slow down. This is going too deep for me. I'm feeling kind of tender. You can ask for slowness, or you could ask for like, hey, let's go deeper over here. Like, I realized you asked that question. There's a lot more there for me I want to unlock. So, you know, you get to ask for the level of depth you feel comfortable with. So you're down for coaching on being knowing that you are in control of the depth? And typically their answer would be, yeah, that sounds great. And then my final thing I would say is, are there any other agreements you want to put into place for our coaching today? Usually the answer is no, but they thank me. And those are the 4 agreements. These 4 agreements are heavily adapted from 4 agreements I learned from a combination of Christina Berkeley and Rich Litvin. What I love about them is they just cover a lot in the realm of coaching. They cover that we're stepping into a place of possibility. They cover what it means to be responsible, right? So they're not waiting for me to do coaching at them. It covers this idea of radical honesty. It invites radical honesty. It invites people to share what's going on with them rather than to like play a role. And then finally, it sets a context of like, hey, we're going to go deep today. We're going to talk about deep things. This is not just going to be like, how do we rearrange your Twitter profile? How do we organize your calendar better? And I find these 4 agreements creates a really powerful container. But the key is, and I really emphasize this because I've given these agreements to other people, the key is that we slow down and create the agreements powerfully with the people that we're with, not just rush over them, like really create them. So there's a way that I say them that's very me. And I would encourage you to find a way to say them that's very you. And you can adapt these 4 agreements a lot of ways. They're really great 4 agreements for a starting coaching conversation. So I hope that helps, and I will talk to you later. Bye.